Well, if you watched my program with Nicholas Gibbs last night, and if you missed it, you really missed a good one because we really got into a lot of challenging conversations about important, issues around Tesla and the economy, et cetera. Anyway, but Nicholas was saying that he was hoping for calm, a few days of rest after such a great, amazing start to September. And he's getting it this morning. Tesla is jagged up and down around zero, up 1 minute, down the next. And the stock market is doing the same thing. It's kind of up, kind of down, getting kind of a bland day. Only information out this morning is housing starts. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But on the Tesla side, quite a few folks coming out with their new estimates of this, that, and the other. And so let's go over the list here. First of all, before that, I just wanted to mention yesterday I talked about um, uh, Elon Musk in a picture that was really all over X of him with Prime Minister Melani of Italy. They were looking very, looking at one another with adoration. Anyway, Elon says he's responding yesterday on X to Godek, Godek. Anyway, it's Goddeketal. Anyway, I don't know how he pronounces that one. On X, he says, I was there with my mom. There's no romantic relationship with PM whatsoever with PM Melani. All right. So we have this from Sawyer Merritt. Piper Sandler analyst Alex Potter has raised his Tesla price target to 310 from 300, keeping his overweight rating. The firm increased their quarter three and quarter four, and fiscal 2024 delivery estimates for Tesla after reviewing interquarter sales data. Piper now models 459,000 deliveries for quarter three. He would be on the low side of the estimates I'm seeing, as you'll see in a minute. And 1.75 million for the year, which would mean that Elon would miss, and I don't think that's going to happen. Quarter three seems likely to be Tesla's best quarter ever, and although European sales are weak, Cybertruck deliveries are supporting demand in the U.S. The analyst told investors in a research note the firm cited higher estimates for the price target bump. So higher, things doing better than they expected, but still kind of on the low side of what I think of all the estimates that are out there. This was also from Sawyer Merritt. He says that Baird Tesla analyst Ben Kallo on FSD, we've had the opportunity to ride in different iterations of FSD version 12 and most recently V12.5. About 2 weeks ago, the pace of progress is accelerating. This is because they no longer are compute constrained, he says. They have millions of cars on the road gathering data. We do think they're getting closer. Then this from Barron's, also from Ben Kallo, says he believes things will turn out a little better. He projects 480,000 vehicles delivered in the third quarter. So 480, 450. Somebody's going to be way off. And that's there's a wide range of estimates this quarter. I'm kind of surprised. Was it 450? I may have just misquoted there. 459. Okay, 460. 459,000 deliveries and 480 on this. Still, that's a big range. He says the near-term setup for Tesla is attractive. We believe numbers are trending positively based on China insurance registrations, our checks with investor relations, and our third-party data. Then Beatles for Sale, who's one of my biggest supporters over on Patreon and everywhere else for that matter, but mostly on Patreon, sends me this note on a DM. He says, Germany, Europe's largest economy, is aiming to improve the uptake of EVs. New registrations, which fell by 36.8% in July year on year, official data show. Apart from EVs' affordability, German consumers have been concerned about the lack of sufficient charging stations and the range of electric vehicles. But under a draft provision approved by Chancellor Olaf Scholz's cabinet on Wednesday, companies would be able to deduct up to 40% of the value of newly purchased electric and qualifying zero-emission vehicles from their tax bill in the year of their purchase. That's falling progressively to 6%. So it's getting 40% the first year, and then coming down to 6%. The government estimates that the measure will have an average annual cost of $465 million. You got to know the Germans, they got to do something because, Volkswagen is like 5% of their economy and a big, big deal for many of their cities there. Additionally, electric and zero-emission company cars that are worth 95,000 euros or less will now qualify for a preferential tax treatment, up from the 75,000 euros or less previously, according to the proposal that will now go to Parliament. Economy Minister Robert Habeck said on Tuesday that the government will continue to support the German car industry's transition to EVs. And Volkswagen said that it might close plants in Germany for the first time in the company's history. So they are nervous as heck. All right, this comes in from @Rains1220. He says, I am currently gathering reviews of FSD 12.5.4 out of 205 posts. This is a fun thing to do. I wish I had time to do this. Out of 205 posts mentioning this version, only 75 have actually used it. All right. Among those, 55 of the 75 are positive, 20 are neutral or mixed, and none are purely negative. So far, no one has used 12.5.4 has expressed a completely negative opinion. I'm still collecting more posts. He'll share more detail later. We'll keep up with him and see what else he comes up with. All right, this is Randy Kirk. It's Randy W. Kirk to some. That's the easiest way to look me up if you're going to want to Google me, because there is another Randy Kirk, an ex-football player from San Francisco, and he gets about half of the Google presence on the first few pages. But anyway, hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, because we will have later this morning a surprise. We will have a surprise that we will not have Scott Walter today. He is worried about a hurricane down in Florida. There just wasn't that much news out there. But we'll have Hans later this morning. He'll be coming on to give his 10 top questions if he could ask Elon Musk anything right now. And then, of course, we could encourage you to hit the like button. Did I already say that? And then to join Patreon down below. That's what you can do. All right. This is from the Wall Street Journal today. Falling interest rates and recovering real wages. Recovering, do you hear that word? Recovering real wages. During the entire Biden administration, real wages have been dropping after going up during the Trump administration, down during the Biden administration. So recovering real wages will help drive a slight pickup in global economic growth this year, while recent falls in the oil prices could aid the final push to tame inflation. This is according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, what they said on Wednesday. Now, if you trust U.S. figures, if you really believe that the data that you're getting from the U.S. government is fantastic, imagine what you would be getting from the Organization for Economic Cooperation. Imagine the data that they would be putting out, how fantastic it would be. Anyway, the Paris-based research body warned that comparatively benign projections may not come to pass, with uncertainties remaining about the impact of high interest rates, which are coming down. So they should be saying how new falling interest rates would impact. Anyway, I mean, everywhere. China, big drop yesterday. Pretty much everybody is dropping interest rates except Brazil. In the quarterly report on economic outlook, the OECD said it now expects global output to increase by 3.2 in 2024 and again in 2025 after growing by 3.1% last year. This is a slight upgrade from this 3.1 and a sizable revision from the 2.7 expansion it expected to see when it put out the forecast originally at the beginning of the year. The U.S. is largely responsible for the better performance. How can that be when Oh, I guess for the improvement in performance, because maybe they had the U.S. at a lower number, because the U.S. performance, well, it's a 2.8, so it's right in the ballpark of their national, and I don't think that that's going to turn out to be a real number. Anyway, in contrast, Germany and Japan have disappointed, and there you go. All right. Microsoft CEO Mario Nawfal is reporting that Microsoft CEO says more people need to use AI to boost productivity. Well, Microsoft would say that. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella emphasized the need for more people to adopt AI in the workplace, asserting that AI tools like Copilot are already making a difference by enhancing productivity. You know, this is the thing about any one of these productivity improvements, all through my entire career. You know, there are people that adopt this kind of stuff right away, and there's people that take a couple of years. I don't think I'm saying anything brilliant by stating that, but I'm even an example right now. I'm using a little bit. I'm using Grok pretty much every day, but in terms of using AI tools very much, so far I just haven't found them to be useful enough to really get in and dig. Certainly on the art side, my art folks down in the Philippines, they are using it, but it's still not that great anyway, but it's coming. I believe. I think by this time next year, we'll be seeing productivity advances, dramatic productivity improvements by this time next year. All right, then breaking this morning, we have the new home sales. And so this is from @Millions Capital. He says in August, new home sales in the U.S. were at 716,000. That is down from the previous 739,000 and an estimated 700,000 for this month. The month-over-month change indicated a 4.7% drop compared to the significant increase last month of 10%. Now, recognize that a lot of this has nothing to do with the consumer. It has way more to do with availability. So yeah, the consumer, some part of it is whether the folks are going out there and willing to do the deal at higher interest rates that were in position a couple of months ago. But now that interest rates are dropping, we're seeing a big increase in the number of people looking for refinances. We're seeing way more people that are out shopping for homes, a lot more mortgage applications being put in. So it's going to be a definite trend for at least a month or two as these mortgage rates had come down. As I pointed out, the mortgage rates probably are going to be flat for now, as you'll see when we look at the bonds this morning, maybe even inching up a bit in the mortgage rate. The mortgage rates may be inching up a little bit because these 10-year bonds are picking back up, the treasuries. Okay, and that's how mortgage lenders base their rates, because they got to get that money from the real market, not from the Fed market. The Fed, they don't use the Fed as their way for them to borrow money. They got to borrow it from the real market, okay, which is the treasuries is where that comes from. It's not a perfect correlation, and it's certainly not perfect day to day, not even month to month, but that is the best way to correlate mortgages with treasuries. Okay, so that's what we've got so far today. Let's take a look at what the markets are doing with it. We continue to see that same thing that I was mentioning a minute ago. The Dow is now down 182, but the Nasdaq's up 52. S&P is down 0.33. So it's a very mixed market. The Dow, which everybody is expecting to go up right now because the smaller caps and the manufacturing sector, this broadening out is supposed to be taking place. Well, at least for this morning, it's the opposite. The S&P just switched. It's now up 1.15. Tesla, which has been up and down around $1.50. Actually, I don't think it's ever been down $1, but it's been up $1.50. Now is up 63 cents at this exact moment, but it's been all over the place all morning. As you look at the Magnificent Seven, mixed, Apple down, Amazon down, but the rest are up. NVIDIA is actually up strongly this morning, up $3.95. That's a big jump. That's like not quite 3%. Well, maybe it is. Yeah, a little over 3%. Okay, and then the Cathie Woods are basically all mixed as well, but in very, very like pennies up, pennies down. Square down, actually. We've been watching those, and PayPal down this morning as well. Interesting. I think, again, you're going to see what's happening with treasuries, and it's not what I was expecting. All right, so we've got percentage-wise. Dow down 0.36, NASDAQ up 0.35, and S&P up 0.07, with Tesla up 0.47. $1.19 now, actually. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at those bonds I've been talking about for moments. So you got the 10-year up 4.1 basis points this morning at 3.777. Now, I said I didn't think it would close above 3.75. Maybe I was wrong. Anyway, that's where we're sitting right now. This is way higher than I'm expecting it to get in this period of time. But that's where the bets are going. So that what's happening is a little bit, you have bond players. Bonds are, some people like to play in the bond market. They have a lot or most of their investing taking place there. I had a friend of mine years ago that he'd made a fortune in the bond market, and that's where he played all the time. All right. So what's happening right now is people are buying the shorts and selling the longs. And that's where you see this reinversion taking place, which is already taking place on the 2-year, as you know, but needs to still take place on the 2-month and the 3-month. So what's happening this morning? You've got the 10-year up 4.1 basis points. You've got the 3-month down 0.8 of a basis point, and the 2-month down 1.3. So you see that that is coming closer and closer, although it's still 80 to 90 basis points away. On the 2-year, it's now strongly this morning. It's up, but it's 2.5 compared to 4.1 for the 10-year. So that is continuing to spread out in the right direction, the traditional, the typical, the normal direction, if you will. All right, let's go on to the oils. Oils were coming down this morning. Last time I checked, yep, down $1 pretty much on both. That's about 1.3%. So oil fading. China stimulus hopes fade, says the headline. Why would that be? Anyway, almost Texas Intermediate, $70.58. Brent, 74.24. Interesting. That's almost $4 difference. There is, some skirmish obviously happening in Israel with Hezbollah right now. Natural gas up again, 1.45%, 2.588. Very strong on natural gas. Gold up another $10, another all-time high, 26.87. Looks like we'll be testing 2,700 here shortly. I'm not a technical analyst, but we all know that the zeros, when all of a sudden there's a psychological factor associated with the even numbers. All right, silver down a tad this morning, back down to 32.40, but that is still way up compared to it's way at the high end of where it's been for years and years and years. I mean, it's literally the highest it's been for probably 20 years. Copper is at up 0.4, continuing up $4.50. That's very strong there. We've got the dollar up this morning against both the yen and the euro, 0.66 against the yen, and barely, just slightly, 0.0179 against the euro. Then you got the Bitcoin down some this morning, 63,729, down to 70, and that's it across the board. All right, so remember later this morning, the reason when you hit notify is because later this morning, we have got Hans Nelson coming on this morning. And then tonight, Jeff Lutz will come and help us with Good News Wednesday, which by that time, Tesla should be up another couple of points, don't you think? A couple of bucks, don't you think? And then you want to go down and join Patreon. Oh, one last time, let's look at Tesla and see where it is. Up 71 cents. I'm telling you, it's like this. It's like this all morning. Okay, that's all I got for this morning. Looking forward to seeing you a couple more times later today. It's been great talking to you.